Awesome. Thanks. Welcome, everyone. My name is Bindia Patel. I am the Executive Director of Leadership Tomorrow. We're thrilled to do this last info session for our flagship program for potential applicants for the class of 2026. Thank you for being here. Even though it's beautiful outside, you can move yourself outside if you feel like it. We welcome that. We welcome people to turn on their videos if they feel like it. No need. And if you're just arriving, you can put in the chat what's your favorite outdoor temperature and what do you like to do when you are outside? I am all for the paddle boarding. I love it. So with that, we'll get started. Next slide, please. So today we're going to just give you a quick overview of what LT is, of what the flagship program is all about, how the application process works. You're going to hear from a couple of amazing alumni, and then we're going to have plenty of time for questions and answers. As we go through the conversation, if you have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. If they're like easy tactical ones, we'll just respond to them right away in the chat. If they're kind of bigger, more conversational ones, we'll respond to those later as we get to the Q&A. But as the questions come up for you, feel free to put them in there so you don't forget them. It's late in the day after 5 p.m. So I want to introduce my amazing colleagues who are here with me. I've got Erin Parker, who is LT 2017, who works with the King County Department of Adult and Juvenile Detention. Erin is the amazing volunteer who leads our screening and selection committee. We've got Kiara Littlejohn Montgomery, who is graduated from LT in 2024, and she works at T-Mobile. Thanks, Kiara, for being here. And Darrow Brown from LT24 also, who works with the Washington State Department of Health. Yay, Darrow, thank you. And then my cool team, Paula Moranen, who is LT97, our newest flagship program manager, and also Megan Rudolph, who is our senior comms and operations manager. Both Megan and Paula will be making sure that we're responding to things in the chat. So let them know if you have any questions. And again, my name is Bindia. So with that, let me tell you a little bit about Leadership Tomorrow. So Leadership Tomorrow is really here to help leaders like you all figure out how you can have bigger and better impact in the community. So we in our minds, leaders are essential to making sure that we have a thriving community. And so LT was founded to make sure we're bringing together people and creating connections, that we're equipping you all with tools and skills, and that we are helping you understand what's going on in the region so that you can figure out where you want to have your impact, how you can connect with other humans who are going to help you get there, and build up your skills to go out and do those things. You'll see the values that we really aim to live by, um, that are that we practice every day. We don't get them all right all the time, but it's a constant effort where we're really trying to live by these values of accountability, anti racism, social justice, belonging, collective leadership, community stewardship, and curiosity and humility. And we build community agreements with all of our program participants that really kind of springboard from those values. In the next slide, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how we structure the flagship program. So again, this is a 10-month program, kicks off in the second week of September with a short orientation where we all get together in person. Then we have a 2-day fall retreat where we go out to the Kitsap Peninsula on a Friday and Saturday, and you really get to know each other a little better. Then we have monthly possibility days, which happen on the second Thursday of every month. And those are in person, and we focus them on different aspects of the region like arts and culture, the environment, health, basic needs, and you'll go to different places for each of those days. And each day you'll have some experiential activities, you'll have small group discussions, you'll have case studies, you'll have speakers who come in, you'll have time for reflection. They're kind of a real mix of each of the possibility days. It's not like just sitting there for 8 hours in a classroom. Then we have a mid-year retreat in February where we go back out to the Kitsap for 2 days. And then you also have leadership labs, which are these mini teams where you work through a challenge or an opportunity or a project together. And those teams kind of become your like core group that you meet with in between as needed. So that's how we structure the program. And you're going to get a flavor of who's in the program um, with you. If you look at the Zoom screen, you'll get at least a little flavor of who might be in the program next year. Wave, y'all. You will have 79 other people who are in your LT cohort. It's a pretty big cohort, and we do that because we want to make sure that y'all get a chance to meet people who are really different from you, who you wouldn't necessarily meet otherwise. People are coming from private sector, nonprofit, and public sector. We we have usually about 50% or more people of color, and the ages range from 25, I'd say even to 64 recently, and people who live around the Puget Sound. So we've got people who are, I'd say about 50, 60% of the folks are from Seattle, but then we've got folks all the way down to Olympia. This year we've got somebody from Port Townsend on the east, folks on the east side, and folks north of Seattle as well. And this just gives you an overview of what we have heard that people really get from participating in LT. So I'm going to talk through each of these benefits: leadership development, cross-sector network, understanding the region, and purpose-driven careers in the next few slides. So this is the first part of what you get in LT is really helping you grow as a leader. And we believe that leaders come in any place in their career, at any position. And we also believe that there's always room for growth. We can always get better at something. And so we really focus the skills building on things that many of us can be working on, like navigating conflict, how to lead healthy and effective teams, like managing complex challenges and thinking about things more systemically. A big part of what we do in LT is really starting with yourself, like getting a sense of your strengths and your growth edges, where you want to strengthen, and then we offer tools and skills building time so that you can work on some of those. A lot of this is very interactive. We'll do things where getting up and moving around the room, where you'll be talking to people in small groups. Um, it's not a lot of like, let me just sit down and read things or write. It's very kind of adult learning focused. So that's where we talk a lot about the leadership skills. The second bucket, thanks Megan for driving the slides, um, is probably when people think about LT, this is often the thing that they immediately think of, which is you're gonna meet your people. You're gonna meet a set of folks who are different from you and um, who care deeply about the impact that they want to have. I have to say, like, since becoming part of the LT community, it's been such a joy to just be around intellectually curious people who want to make a difference. And so no matter, if one person really cares about homelessness and another person really cares about the arts, it's even if the thing that you're particularly passionate about isn't the same, it's that passion and the like conviction that I love being in a room with. It's all these people who really, really care, really want to make a difference, really want to think about some things differently, and they've all chosen to come and spend a whole day to think about and learn and grow together. And so it's not like a bunch of people who are kind of sitting back, but it's people who are ready to engage. That's one of my favorite things about LT. So you'll be and you won't just be joining this set of 80 people, you'll also be joining this network of over 2,780 people who've gone through the program over the last 41 years. And so you'll have access to that alumni database. You'll be invited to alumni programming, and you'll be able to kind of meet other leaders in the region, which is a really phenomenal part of LT. Next slide. You're going to learn so much about the region. Um, This amazing picture is taken at Brightwater Environmental Center, which is where literally where our poop goes through if you live in the north part of Seattle, and you learn all um, about environmental justice issues and how wastewater is treated. The following month, you might be learning about and doing school visits. The following month, you might be going to a museum and learning about arts and culture. It is we really make sure that people get a chance to see the region. We so often just like go to our office and go to our partner organization and just like have the same view of what's going on. We really make sure that people understand and kind of one get to physically move around the region, and two really understand how these issues and challenges interconnect and how they play out. What are the challenges? What are the disparities? And what are the opportunities to make change? So we bring in amazing speakers and leaders. Some of them are LT alums, some are not, and they tell us how much they love just getting to talk to this group of leaders who want to engage and ask amazing questions. So that's another big part of LT. And then finally, the last benefit that I'm going to talk about is really figuring out how and where you as an individual want to fit in. So maybe you already know that you want to get on a board and do this kind of thing, or maybe you have this passion or these questions. You get 10 months to actually think about where you want to have a bigger difference and how you're going to get there. Um, so with that, I think I'm going to hand it off to the amazing Erin Parker. Thanks, Erin.
Thanks, Mendia. Again, Aaron Parker, LT'17, serving as the chair of the Screening and Selection Committee. So thank you so much for you all being here today. And as you can see on the slide, if you're interested in joining us, Leadership Tomorrow, the first step is to apply online by April 7th. Not on, but by. You can go on the website on April 7th, but we would love for you to get in there before then. So after April 7th, Megan will email you a link to the recording of our candidate orientation. And during this orientation, we'll discuss what to expect during the interview process. And we highly recommend you take some time to watch this recording before your interview. The next step is to participate in a 30-minute interview with three members of the LT Screening and Selection Committee. And these interviews will take place on Zoom between April 14th and May 13th. Other key dates: interviews are happening via Zoom between April 14th and May 13th. And everyone who applies gets an interview because your application and interview are equally weighted. And so we need both of those elements to give you a full score and package. So everyone who applies gets an interview. So, yeah, let's move on to the next slide. And so we are intentional about assembling a diverse group of leaders, diverse in race, ethnicity, sector, geography, and more. The people you'll meet in LT will be one of the most valuable aspects of the program, offering you the opportunity to build meaningful relationships with individuals from a wide range of backgrounds and experiences. And as you see here on the slide, this is what we're looking for in a candidate: commitment to community engagement, leadership in their area of influence, curiosity, openness to multiple viewpoints, and a desire to broaden their perspectives, willingness to work in a multiracial learning environment, engage with others at different stages in their learning journey, and deepen your personal role in advancing racial equity. A strong interest in the curriculum and a willingness to learn and practice LT values. Again, that's gonna you want to take a look at the website to check out those values and really lean into, again, the key dates, values, and more about the program. And that final one is reasons for wanting to participate in the program is beyond just the networking piece. I think at this level, the candidates we're looking for are pretty much done the networking and know how to network. You could do that in another venue, but this is really about those who are really trying to lean in and get uh, get to the work of creating healthy communities, and wanting to make those connections to do that work with us. All righty. And so now we're going to talk about some tips for strengthening your application. So, participating in Leadership Tomorrow is a meaningful experience, one that's most impactful when you can fully commit and engage. So, before you start the application, we would ask that you be mindful that you should review the LT program schedule, and being mindful of those key dates. The orientation, fall retreat, mid-year retreat are all essential components of the program, and attendance is required. uh, those are key moments that you won't want to miss. Every single year, even though LT is dynamic and changes with different iterations uh, over the years, every single LT year is going to always be able to recall the time that they had during those retreats. And it's very important into the relationships that I built with my class from 2017 is some of those relationships that were formed during those retreats. So, again, we recommend you reviewing the flagship program overview on our website to familiarize yourself with the curriculum and understand kind of what to expect throughout your experience. And in terms of some tips, as part of your application, you will answer 4 short essay questions. Each question has multiple parts, so be sure to address every aspect of the question. The level of detail and specificity in your response can make a significant difference in your score. And so we encourage you to be open and authentic in your essays. A key part of the LT's values is to be vulnerability and openness, and our participants bring. And this starts with your application. And like we mentioned before, screening and selection committee isn't looking. It's made up of volunteers and alumni, and the interview process is separate from the application process. So that application, you really want to lean in and be as detailed as possible. Because there'll be a group of alumni who are going to review the application, and then there's a group that reviews who actually does the interview. And we're not looking for in the application, we're not looking for answers uh, that in terms of the screening and selection committee, we're not looking for answers that they agree with, but they really want to get to know you as a person, because that's going to be utilized as we think about who are the 80 people that are going to be in this cohort. How did they respond to these questions? What is going to make a good makeup of 80 individuals coming together to do this work? Again, give yourself time. So that means before April 7th, you're going to go to the website, check out those key dates, start the application. I'm one of those old school people, like, even though you could do like track changes and things online, I need to print things out and jot things down and do my first draft and then make some notes and then go back and edit. So I would recommend getting into the website as soon as possible and getting that application going. And definitely don't want to wait till the last minute, because we have always have some technical issues, and we want to make sure to avoid that as if possible. Now we'll get down to the nitty gritty, the dollars. Tuition for the program is $6,000, and financial aid is available based on need. And while we do not offer full scholarships, our goal is to provide financial aid in a way that maximizes accessibility. So every participant is expected to contribute toward their tuition. And so that's a conversation that you'll have with LT staff or leadership tomorrow. Apologies on acronyms and abbreviations, but the leadership tomorrow staff will work with you in terms of figuring out what is best, and what you're able to contribute in that matter. And so you're going to submit your financial aid request when you complete your application. Your request is confidential and is not in we don't review those until the class has been selected. So don't think that because you may feel you may need a bigger amount of support, that you somehow are going to be weeded out or weeded in because we're looking for a certain population. That's not the case. We build the cohort off of your responses to the application, responses in the interview, and the final score that you get. excuse, so, excuse me. Sorry about that. The final score that you get, and then we create that 80-person cohort. And then we start talking about what it looks like to provide financial aid for the 80 people that have applied and potentially submitted that financial aid request. And so applications again are due April 7th before 8 p.m. April 7th before 8 p.m. Go ahead and write that down. Um, Put a reminder in your calendar and put a week reminder before that. But again, we want you to get in there before April 7th at 8. You can find the application link in the flagship program page on the website. There is a $100 application fee, and if that fee is a barrier, you can request some support through that for that fee. But you be mindful that your household income will need to be below $115,000. If you are uh, needing some requesting that application fee be covered through a scholarship, you're going to email Megan, and you can have her contact info, I'm sure, from when you registered for this. And again, we interview everyone who applies to LT. And so no one is screened out, again, based on your application, your responses to your application, request for financial aid. None of that impacts your access to having an interview. We know that some people really shine and when they have the time to sit down and develop responses, like I talked about, print it out, make some notes, come back, and then others may shine more in the interview setting, or you may shine in both, which is great. But we weigh those separately, and that's why we have different groups of LT alum do the interviews, then the different group of people that do the actual reviewing of the application, they get together and give you a final score. So next is the best part, I think, of our time here today. As I mentioned before, we do LT is very responsive to feedback from our participants and alumni. And so not only do members of the screening and selection committee have feedback every year for LT staff and myself on the process, questions being asked, interview questions. But when we talk about those challenge days that Bendio talked about earlier, uh, they are receptive to feedback there. And we have, I think what's really great is that we have really recent alumni here with us today. Kiara Montgomery and Darrell Brown. Kiara is with T-Mobile and Darrell is with Washington State Department of Health. We're going to start with Kiara and let her share her experience with LT, and then we will hear from Darrell.
Hi. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Kiera Montgomery from LT class of 2024. I currently work as a business operations manager in consumer marketing at T-Mobile. I'm really excited to be here with you all today to talk about my experience with LT. When I first heard about the program, I was pretty skeptical. Everyone who talked about it talked about like they talked it up. I was like, can't be this good. It was a little, I was like, are you all wearing sashes? Like, what's the deal with the program? And it took a couple years of me knowing about the program and talking with people before I actually applied. Um, I It was just really hard to believe that people had such a fondness for the program. As a person who's a transplant to the Puget Sound area, I had set down some roots. I bought a house and I just wanted to learn more about this area and how I could engage and feel more connected to this region. So I applied, I got in, and now that the program is over, I totally understand the hype. I really do get it. I'm not blowing smoke, I'm serious. But over the course of the program, I learned a lot about the history of the area. I had a chance to learn from a lot of local leaders, people that I wouldn't have, known about otherwise. One of the highlights for me as a people person was the weekend retreats and getting to hang out with cool people who, weren't like me, who were from different walks of life, all different ages, races, working in different sectors. It was really nice to get to connect with people that I otherwise would have never interacted with. And these weren't just mandatory events, these were opportunities to connect with each other. You get to room with people, meet new people, and new environment, went to a lot of places that I had never experienced before. So that was cool too. There were also these caucuses that allowed us to have affinity spaces, and connect with each other in a really meaningful way. And even now, our caucus is like trying to figure out how to get together. So we are staying in touch. We actually really like each other, and it's cool to have that type of community. One of the things that stood out to me a lot about the program was how I felt that I was learning about myself, about my own leadership style, and how I was challenged to think more deeply about how I wanted to be a participant, or change maker in my community, and how I was going to contribute. I got voted team connector for putting together some events and things, and it taught me a lot about just the power of bringing people together. And so I learned through collective action and leadership that a collective leadership that a lot of things are possible. So it was very impactful for me personally. Um, Also in my work, like LT inspired me to get more involved in DEI work in my job at T-Mobile. I've been helping to elevate some of the employee resource group events and things that are going on around diversity, equity, and inclusion, and even got invited to T-Mobile's Inclusion Council conference for like-minded folks who are doing the same type of work all across, the company and across the nation. So that's really cool. So it's been really good for my own personal leadership in my work too. Um, uh, and the last thing I'll say is what I love about LT is that it's like this is going to sound bad, but it's like building the plane while you're flying it. And one of the best, what I mean by that is the program is always evolving. They really take feedback into consideration. No cohort is going to experience the same thing as the previous cohort. It really is a tailored experience, and it's informed by the experiences of tons of people who had came before in the program. And the fact that we have people who want to come back, who want to give back, really is a testament to the program. So I would encourage you, if you're on the fence, get off the fence and go ahead and apply. I was one of the last minute application people, but fortunately I made it through. But it really is a great opportunity to learn and grow, make a positive impact, and challenge yourself. So thank you.
Thank you so much for that. And we'll go on to our other alum who's here with us today.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Make sure.
Yep.
All right. I'm Darrow Brown. Aaron made my name sound really fancy because he said Darrow. And I always tell people it's not fancy. It's just Darrow. It's like arrow with a D in front of it. So, I mean, you can get fancy if you want to, but it's not very fancy. I use pronouns he, him, his. Just out of habit, we do this at Department of Health. So out of habit, black male, medium brown skin, glasses, mustache, goatee, follically challenged, otherwise known as bald. And I'm wearing a sort of a blue crew neck t-shirt. I am the Chief of Inclusion, Belonging, and Wellbeing for the Washington State Department of Health, leading a new center called the Center for Inclusion, Belonging, and Wellbeing. When I applied, I was not actually with DOH. I was with Washington State. I led the Washington State Employee Assistance Program. And I stumbled onto LT. I didn't know anything about it. I was doing some searching, looking for, I don't know, a different way of being, a different way of experiencing things, and was looking up leadership programs. And I found LT. And I happened to see that on the website, there were some well-respected colleagues, people that I really love who were alumni. And I was like, why not? I'm going to give this a try. I checked in with them. They did the praise, Kiara. They did the praise. They wore the sashes. They were carrying around their little LT Bibles. And they were like, yes, do it, Darrow, do it. So I did it. And I did the interview process and made it through. Luckily, I made it through. Also, I still consider myself new to the Pacific Northwest, but at the time when I applied, I had been here about 4.5 years. So my knowledge of the Pacific Northwest region, my knowledge of Seattle, my knowledge of Western Washington and Eastern Washington was really limited to I know where I-5 is. I know how to get to my in-laws in Linwood and Bothell. And I understand that Eastern Washington looks different than Western Washington. That was about my understanding. And I learned that it's not Spokane, it's something else, Spokane. But that was my knowledge and understanding. So LT, through the possibility days, through the retreats, through the panelists, really helped me understand not just the geography of the area, but also the different communities in the areas, the way in which it is, I mean, it sounds redundant or sort of dumb to say, but it's a state of really complex systems with really complex problems, but also with a lot of great opportunity. And I think through working through LT, I got to understand a little bit more about the complexity, but also about the possibilities. Um, I I realized or I learned in this experience that one, there's a whole lot of smart people that are going to be in the cohort with you. And there was definitely that in my cohort, which was lovely because one of the things I took away from LT is that I don't have to be the smartest person in the room. There are a lot of smart people in the room who are willing and ready to work with you and collaborate. And I don't know. I don't know if this is your experience. I know for me as a black male, as a gay male, sometimes the idea is I am supposed to be this magical being. I can sprinkle fairy dust and burn sage and solve all the problems in the world because I'm magical. And it really puts a lot of pressure on one to be that kind of person. But in LT, you don't have to be the magical whatever. You can rely on other people that are in the community, that are in your cohort to do the work with you together. And if you are that leader, that subject matter expert that's always taking charge and sort of charging through, I think what you can learn is you can sit back. I could sit back in my project teams and be like, I don't know, y'all figure it out. I'll help you figure it out, but I don't have to be that expert. So that was one of the things that I took away. One of my favorite parts of LT um, was the retreats and the possibility days, not just because of what I learned, but this is sort of coming off of pandemic still in 23 and being in person, being in community with people, and being in the same room and hearing their voice, their tenor, seeing their body language, all of those things are just were really helpful. And what I found is as much as busy as I was in my full-time job, my full-time marriage with two kids, a tween and a teen, and two dogs, and being really exhausted much of the time, that when I came to LT, whether it was a Zoom meeting, Zoom call, or in person, I always felt restored. It was not a burden. It wasn't like, oh my God, not another LT thing. I don't know if I can do this anymore. I looked forward to those experiences because of the community, because of the learning opportunities. So, like Kiara says, apply. Just do it. You're not going to keel over and die if you apply. You're not going to lose your life. Apply, take advantage of it, and enjoy the experience if you get in. It's really a wonderful experience. That's it.
Thank you, Darrow. uh, if you want to stop recording, Megan.